All right, what is up, everybody? Dude, that was so smooth how I did that. I usually mess that up, so I'm pretty proud of myself for that. But welcome to the Matt Ramage Show. I'm here with Wes Hodkiewicz. But first, big shout to Quick Trip sponsoring the show, and everyone loves Quick Trip. Go down there and buy all the Glazers. But thanks for taking the time, Wes. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, brother. I actually had Quick Trip for dinner last night.
Oh, did you?
Not even joking.
I
My
eat it quite often.
my associate producer on the game day program, Nicole Tim, the ever talented Nicole Tim, she was actually the person I was trying to get. I think when we talked last time, trying to get Quick Trip to follow her because she's like a Quick Trip super fan, like
Yeah.
yourself. And she got me going on the chicken tenders now. So last night, when I was looking for some dinner quick, I went and got myself some chicken tenders.
And they're magnificent. Like I'm not a big buying tenders from gas station kind of guy, but
It's like the
tried
best
it.
in Green Bay.
Yeah, Quick Trip is different though. They're not like every other gas station.
No, their chicken is fantastic. You can
It is.
use that. You can quote me on that. It's
They'll
it's
have
usable.
it on banners. They'll have it on banners. I'm gonna tell them. He said it's all right. You'll go get gas and there'll be a picture of you. Chicken is like, whoa! I didn't get nothing for that, bro.
Hey, we're just all good, honest Wisconsinites just trying to make our own way. So it's nice to
Yes,
see you again,
yeah.
though, Matthew. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, it's always great to have you on. People are out, especially like this season. People are asking me a lot of difficult questions. So I was like, I should bring someone on who knows some of this stuff. No, but this season is it is what it is. Packers are going to a bye. Like, first of all, like, do you get time off for a bye week? You know, you
Yeah.
play the Packers, you get a little vacation.
A little bit. We do that Q&A, that insider inbox. So still had to do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Today, I just had to knock out a quick story for our game day program for the Rams game because now we're gonna have this stretch of home games and I'm responsible for that. So we got that taken care of, but then I spent the afternoon Christmas shopping. So that was very nice and looking forward to the 2-day weekend. So, and then last week, I think like half of
2-day
our
weekend.
office was kind of under the weather last week. So it's been nice to be healthy again and just enjoying Wisconsin in December.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get into to some football stuff here. I even made. I got notes over here.
Do you? Look at
Oh
you.
yeah, you better believe it. I want to talk about this. Aaron Jones nominated for Man of the Year. I think there was two things that he was nominated for. I think one is like sportsmanship.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that. I never heard of that one before.
Yeah, they actually started that one. I think it was in 2014. And that's voted on by the players basically. Like, you know, I'm sure like you were an upstanding citizen back in the youth sports days. Everybody in the local Green Bay scene respecting Matt Ramage. So they'd put you up for that award. But the thing that was the coolest part about this is, you know, you get nominated. The Packers are part of that. Obviously, we know everything Aaron Jones does in the community goes without saying, but I thought it was really cool that the advisory panel is the one that actually picks those 8 finalists. So I think like, I want to say like Warwick Dunn is involved with that. It's a bunch of like former players. So it shows you just how highly esteemed Aaron Jones is in that community. And the fact that back-to-back years as the Packers Man of the Year nominee for the Walter Payton Award, this guy is so incredibly talented, and we've seen it. This offense goes as Aaron Jones goes, but off the field, just the human being he is and the humanitarian he is, and you can tell it's that old like Spider-Man thing, right? To much is given. You know, you're also you know, asked to, you know, responsibility comes along with that. I really botched that, but Aaron Jones
right. We got you.
We got you. No, but I mean, it just shows you. I mean, this is a guy that came, you know, from very humble beginnings, and it's really neat to see him get this type of accolade again in a year in which there has been a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment. A neat little silver lining to see Aaron Jones get his flowers because he certainly deserves them.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of the best humans. Like I actually just got to meet him this training camp. You would never know that he's like an NFL player if you were just ran into him. He's just
Pro Bowl running back, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It just seems like he's the kid from your local high school that just happens to be a really, really, really super talented running back. So it's cool for him and his family, and I really hope he gets a good run at this thing, Matt. I think you know, he definitely deserves it. There's so many deserving guys in the National Football League, but especially at his position, a position where, sometimes you can get a little bit more recognition with the fantasy football crowd. I hope that Aaron gets a shot at this because he certainly is deserving of it. And I think his case is a very compelling one.
Yeah, I'll definitely be rooting for him. All right, so we mentioned the bye week. So like, who's injury wise, like everyone coming back, maybe people playing on some sort of stuff. How big is this bye right now?
Yeah, it's big, dude, and it's big because the Packers won. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the Chicago Bears right now. Obviously for a number of reasons, but the biggest one being that the Bears. You're like, oh, I let that slip out. See, you're like you got like the big push on all that stuff, and then I'm just kind of more sly about it. But no, I mean, like the Bears, they're eliminated from the playoffs. So I actually, in our Insider Inbox Q&A today, I kind of took a little bit of an exception to this Week 14 bye. Like when they made the 17th regular season game, now what they did is they switched up the buys. So it went from an early bye of Week 4. Now they're not any earlier than Week 6, but they also added this 14th week bye. There's 6 teams on a bye this week. Fortunately for the Packers, they still have something to play on the other side of it. Teams like the Bears, they're just kind of in purgatory right now. They have to play out the string, but they're off this week. So fortunately for the Packers, to answer your question, I wouldn't, it's hard for me to say that this comes at a good time. I think it could have came at a much better time for Green Bay when you look at like the Giants, who also didn't take the bye after London, but then they got it in Week 9, right? The Packers had to wait, to get through 13 games to get this thing. In 1975, they would have played the whole season already. So I don't want to say they're fortunate, but, Romeo Doubs hopefully coming back on the other side of this thing. It sounds like Aaron Jones will be good with the shin injury. They were kind of being, monitoring him a little bit. Realistically, it seems like the one question mark for Green Bay right now really doesn't have a lot to do with what happened on the field, but with David Bakhtiari's emergency appendectomy, when exactly he's going to be allowed to get out there again. Because as my colleague Mike Spofford wrote about this week, Mike had an appendectomy this year, and those things are serious. That's serious business there. You're talking about not just the surgery, but the sutures and not wanting to have a hernia or core injury. That we're going to have to see exactly where Bakhtiari's at on the other side of this thing. Matt LaFleur wasn't really providing a timetable there, but for the most part, it seems like, Devondre Campbell came back and got through that game well. The Packers seem to be at an okay place on the injury front, trying to mount this run here with 4 regular season games remaining.
Yeah. So yeah, that David Bakhtiari injury, like I didn't even know like really what that was.
Yeah.
Is it like something that could be like, I don't mean to sound ignorant because like I just don't know, but like, is it something that could be like end of the year, or is this like
I don't know. And I'm ignorant in this case too, because I just don't remember a lot of guys having appendectomies during the season. As far as his day-to-day living, Dave's good. I mean, congratulations to him and his wife. I saw that they had a beautiful baby girl today, I believe.
I saw that.
So, he's doing good. He looks all smiles. It's just a matter of, like to use that Mike Spofford example again, when Mike was traveling with us, this actually happened right before we went to London. I had to help him with his luggage because he wasn't supposed to push or lift anything heavier than 20 pounds just because of the sutures and not wanting to overexert. David Bakhtiari's got a pretty big job description, with being an offensive lineman, an all-pro offensive lineman in this league. So that's the one. It's just going to be wait and see. You hope it's not to that case, but to give you any kind of timetable on it, I'm really not too sure about it because at least during my time, at the most I can remember here in 11 years, I don't remember anyone having an appendicitis and having to have that thing taken out right in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I think that's the thing because they're coming back to play football. Like it, yeah, I don't know. That's the whole thing. All right, we were just talking about this with Romeo Doubs possibly coming back, but Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and I just think that the future is bright. Like I'm pumped about Christian Watson, and I was pumped about Romeo Doubs too. But then he wasn't there. Like we'll see like what he does when he comes back. But I'm these two together, but especially Christian Watson, he just seems like the next level superstar. Like maybe I'm just like really over pumping him up, but I think that he's gonna be a stud.
Yeah, no, not at all, Matt. I look at let's just start off with Doubs here, right? Doubs is a good story because he came in right away. impressed, did everything during the offseason program. He made plays and was so consistent, right? Week 3, NFL Rookie of the Week. So many things to like about him. But part of that excitement was kind of rooted in the fact that he wasn't expected to be the stud right out of the gate, right? He wasn't the second round pick. He wasn't the guy that the Packers traded up to get. Christian Watson was. And I think as we were talking about, and we probably even chatted about this before, I know I've said it a number of times now, throughout training camp, when Christian Watson was healthy, when he was out there, you could see the talent. You could see the speed. You could see the vertical. You could see the catch radius. Kid's a 5-tool player without a shadow of a doubt. But it was about the knee injury, slowing him down, keeping him on PUP at the start of camp. It was the hamstring injury, then aggravating it. And then obviously the pretty scary concussion in Buffalo. Once he put that all behind him, I don't think it really was that big of a surprise what he was doing on the field. I think if there's anything that has kind of blown me away is just the red zone weapon and touchdown machine that he's turned into. To have 9 touchdowns from scrimmage now on the season on like 330 offensive snaps, that is just insane. And it's why he's completely pushed himself now into this Rookie of the Year conversation, despite the fact he went the first, 6-7 games of the season with, I think it was 7 catches for 88 yards or something like that. He is the total package, and he changes the complexion of this offense. After the game last Sunday, we were in the locker room at Soldier Field, the visiting locker room, and Mark Daniels actually asked Alan Lazard, if you guys have Christian Watson all year long, do you think you basically have more than 5 wins? And Lazard wasn't going to go to that extreme, but I think what you're seeing is when you put your chips on these young players and they blossom and grow and get comfortable in your scheme, the sky is really the limit. And, this is the plan. This is what Green Bay wanted to do. Unfortunately, they've had to weather a litany of injuries at the receiver position this year. All 5 of their top guys have missed time because of injury. But as you said, taking the words out of your mouth, the future is bright there, I think, for the skill positions in Green Bay, and seeing exactly, as long as he can stay healthy, how high this star is going to go for Christian Watson, because he has every tool you look for.
Yeah, I'm so excited because he can just score from anywhere. They can hand it to him. He can catch it. He can outrun everybody. He runs so fast. It doesn't even look like he's running fast. But everyone that's chasing him looks like they're running fast. He's just gliding. It's just ridiculous.
And it doesn't even look like he's exerting himself. It's so fluid. It's so natural. And yeah, he's just a ball of energy, man. And it's been really fun to watch. A guy that moves that fast for a dude that's that big is you can't find those human beings a lot. Somebody, I don't even know. I wish I could give credit to who said it, but I know I saw one thing on Twitter about, kind of comparing him to Tyreek Hill. And I think there are some natural athletic comparisons that you make, but Christian's 5 inches taller than him. I mean, it's just, it's
he's going to be really fun to watch, going forward. But speaking of freakish athletes, Rashawn Gary, someone commented on it. Obviously he's out, but for next year, is he expected to be good go right out the gate, or is it gonna where?
Yeah, no, these things they take all different shapes and sizes, Matt. I mean, when you look at last year with Elton Jenkins, he had the ACL in mid-November in Minnesota, and he made it back for week 1. That kind of caught me by surprise. Certainly, Robert Tonyan was the end of October. He made it back for the start of the season, and other times it can be a little bit more complicated. So the tough thing that makes this one difficult to swallow, though, is you saw a guy not just sacking players or quarterbacks, not just, becoming a Pro Bowl type talent. You saw Rashawn Gary becoming a leader in that locker room. And the most disheartening thing for me, and I don't want to turn this into the turf debate and everything like that, but you lose Rashawn Gary for the season. You lose Eric Stokes for the season. You've lost Romeo Doubs for the last 4 weeks after that game at Ford Field. I'd argue, pound for pound, the Packers had as many injuries that day as they've had really the rest of the season. And again, we'll see. And this is something you can always debate, but I'm sure that the Buffalo Bills are feeling this right now with Von Miller. It's just so hard to replace a guy of that caliber. So the Packers, if I'm them going into this offseason, you probably have to approach it like, okay, we got Preston, Kingsley Enagbare, he's done some really nice things. Maybe Justin Hollins is still around. We'll see what happens there. But, that probably becomes a need for you now because you're just not sure when you're going to get Rashawn back. And if we know anything about him, and obviously you've been exposed to him a little bit, I mean, the kid puts every ounce of sweat and energy he has into the game of football. I would definitely put my chips on him coming out on the early end of this thing. But, it's still a significant knee injury of that nature, and it takes time. So, you just hope he can come back and continue on the track he was on because, man, it was special.
Yeah, I think definitely he will be on the early end. Like I say, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but yeah, he's definitely he works so hard.
Yeah.
Like he's all right. I think I lost my spot here. All right. Okay, how much? I'm not good at this. I'm not good at being organized. Usually I just wing it.
I lost my spot here.
Yeah.
I love it, buddy.
So how much of Jordan Love do you think we'll see this season? Like I don't like to talk about too much because the Packers still have a shot at it. But like if they don't, if it doesn't work out, like either whatever we need to have happen or whatever, will we see Jordan Love if the Packers are out of the playoffs?
I would think, maybe you'd see him in that game against Detroit. I know Brian Gutekunst said this past week they don't necessarily need to see him anymore to make a call on the fifth-year option. I think they feel pretty good about his development and where he's been at. I just think it's probably would be helpful for his growth. And let's be honest, I mean, I think my hope would be, and a lot of Packers fans' hope would be, is that, Aaron Rodgers comes back next year and, you try to reset the table and take another stab at this thing. But at the same time, I mean, the rib injury, the thumb, all these different things, maybe there is a case to be made at that point of giving him some time to rest and start to heal. I think the hope would be for the Packers is that you do keep this thing interesting and, you don't necessarily have to get to that point. Now, they need to get on a run here, a run they haven't been on since the first few weeks of the season. But, the healthier you get, the more guys you get back, and then hopefully Rodgers feels better on the other end of this bye week. The Rams game, you just have to win that game. You just have to. Baker Mayfield getting claimed, Matthew Stafford probably out for the year, Cooper Kupp's injury, Aaron Donald. Just the list goes on and on. It's been a nightmarish season for the Rams. Another reminder of why it's so important when people talk about going all in. Well, if you do, you better win the whole darn thing because you never know what's going to be on the other side of that coin. And for Green Bay's standpoint, I think there's still a lot of opportunity out there for them in this year. And there's a lot of prideful guys in that locker room. So seeing how these next few weeks unfold, seeing what happens with the Rams, seeing what happens on Christmas in Miami probably determines, what you want to do there in terms of giving Love, some potential playing time. But Aaron Rodgers is a competitor. I expect that he's going to continue to try to push through this thing and win football games and make it so that the Packers are still in this playoff hunt. But yeah, I think if you get to the Detroit game and the Packers are out of it, that it would make a lot of sense to give him that opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to want to sit down. But for the people who I've seen a lot of Packer, I want to say a lot, but I saw some Packer fans talking about tank this and that. All this team, I actually think that they can win any game. They could lose any game. That's kind of how they're playing this season. They're good enough, but then they make mistakes. Things happen. But this team, no team should ever. Obviously, they don't. That's the thing that fans say, talking about tanking, for the draft picks or whatever. But, real teams. I don't know. I forgot what I was trying to say there.
No, but Matt, I wrote about this past week and going off of Gutekunst's quotes about basically saying it's a culture thing. I think there's a lot to be said for that. If you don't feel like you're winning football games and you're not trying to win football games, well, that sends a message to your locker room. If you're not putting everything you want into this thing. 2018 went about as poorly as it could have went for Green Bay, right? On so many different levels. Rodgers is playing with a broken leg. Mike McCarthy's removed. But I'll tell you what, Matt, those wins over Atlanta and also against the Jets, those were two of the most energized locker rooms I've ever been a part of. Whatever guys that were on those teams, they weren't concerned about tanking. They weren't concerned about what their draft picks are. They wanted to play football and they wanted to win football games. And the other aspect of this, I think, is very important to look at and break down when you're talking about the end of a season. Think back to 2006, right? The Packers got off to a pretty tough start to the Mike McCarthy era, but I believe the last 4 games of the season, I think they got on a winning streak there to get back to 8-8, and then the next year making the run to the NFC Championship game, making the run to a 13-win season. I think there is momentum to be taken because this is a veteran team. There are a lot of guys that are going to be back next season. You want to have a good taste in your mouth, regardless of what happens with the end of the season here in the playoff picture. And from that regard, I think the value is always there to keep playing for something, because at the end, who cares? Who cares if the Packers aren't getting the number 1 pick?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're the 10th pick or the 16th pick, or what, it is what it is. I mean, Packers did just fine with Jair at 18, in 2018.
Oh, so. Yeah. I absolutely think that. Yeah, I definitely won. But yeah, because I players have pride. Plus, players are putting tape out there. So whatever
absolutely
happens, yeah.
There's
obviously, yeah. So
there's plenty of guys. I mean, Alan Lazard's a free agent after this season. Robert Tonyan. I mean, there's a number of guys. Elton Jenkins, right? They don't want to put film out there to potential teams, Packers or otherwise, and the other 31 being like, this guy kind of.
Yeah, after they got allowed to playoffs, yeah, you kind of paid it off. Yeah.
They want to go out there and show what they can do and build up their team and build up themselves. So, yeah, it's a buzzword with fans, because when you're not winning, teams fan bases tend to like to think about what the draft is going to be. But man, if you're playing for April every year and you're not playing for February,
yeah,
I think that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I think it's stupid. So we were talking about the last end of this season going into next season. What are some things that Packer fans should be really hopeful for going into the future?
Well, seeing how this thing finishes, and the tough thing, the probably, as I've written a couple times now in our online content and our Q&As and columns, the most difficult part to swallow about this season, and the Packers had a terrible schedule. Like, that just is what it is. You have to play them, you have to win them, but this was a bad schedule. The divisions that were supposed to be the winnable, pushover games turned out to be all playoff contenders, right? In both East Conference or both East divisions. You have that idea where now we have the 17th game where you have to do a crossover. So the Packers are facing probably one of the most consistent teams in the National Football League, and in the Tennessee Titans. So they had to host them. So all that being said, I think we're going to learn a lot about the character of these guys, win, lose, or draw, and who's going to be the guys that are going to step up and be the next wave, be the next, leaders and staples and pillars in the years to come here. I love what I've seen from the 2022 draft class. Like we talked about with the receivers, I think Zach Tom is a really good find. I think that young man's going to put on more size this offseason. He looks to me like another Elton Jenkins type that they can position him wherever they potentially have a need, and also has that flexibility that he can play center too. There are some cap things to figure out. Certainly, we know what the situation is there. I have full confidence that Russ Ball and his staff will do it. They've done so many gymnastics now that I never thought were possible 6-7 years ago to get to Green Bay where they are right now. And then honestly, dude, it's just learning. These young guys getting the ones that do play, getting a chance to learn. Quay Walker's the best example of that. The kid has so much ability, he has so much speed. There's times where he looks like a rookie, and there's times where you can tell just how big his paws are and what he can potentially do, down the line. So the most exciting thing I think for Green Bay is there's still hope. There's hope in the Aaron Rodgers era, and as we saw potentially, in that performance with Jordan Love in Philly, maybe there's hope in the Jordan Love era too. A lot of ifs, ands, and buts, but it's a good position to be in, because I think there's a lot of teams right now that would be gleeful just to have a Jordan Love type prospect in the system, let alone a 2-time defending NFL MVP. The Packers are still in a really solid position. Unfortunately for them, the 2022 season just hasn't quite shuffled out the way that they were hoping when you brought this thing in.
Yeah, and like speaking of Jordan Love, like I said the same thing like about Aaron Rodgers. Like he got to sit behind Brett Favre and like watch how it's done at a high level.
Yeah.
Like Jordan Love got to do the same thing, and I think there's so much that goes into it because I feel like when they do start playing or do start finding themselves in situations off the field, that they kind of know because they've seen someone else do it
Yeah.
at the best, you know. So
Well,
I think that's one good thing.
and we rush in, right, with these quarterbacks. And sometimes, dude, you do get Joe Burrow, and you get some of these guys that can just come out right away and look like NFL professional talent. And then you have guys like Trevor Lawrence, who really had to take it on the chin as a rookie, and now is starting to kind of turn a corner here with Doug Peterson. And then unfortunately, you also have some of these guys that get thrown in the fire way too early and then never recover. Now, maybe that would have been what their disposition, what their outlook would have been, regardless of how many years they wait. But I do think more and more with the pressure that these NFL teams are under, you're seeing young guys thrown in right away. A great example, that's probably Geno Smith, right? Geno Smith is I'm not saying he's an MVP, but Geno Smith is a much different quarterback right now with Seattle than he was back in 2013, 2014, with the Jets. And it just comes with time. It comes with maturation, and it comes with development, and it comes with picking up and learning the most difficult position on all of sports. And in Jordan Love's case, I thought that performance in Philly, I understand what the Eagles were doing defensively. I understand they were not throwing the kitchen sink at him at that point, but Jordan knew what he was doing, and he looked like he was driving a car that he's been behind before. And I think that's the most exciting part. And there was a great line that Gutekunst had on Monday that I thought was such a good one, which is, you want the problems that come with having good quarterbacks. You welcome those as a GM, because there's so many right now in the National Football League where, you look at what's happening in Indy this year. You look at some of these other locations where they haven't been so fortunate, and there isn't a real bright spot around the corner. You're just kind of in the situation that you're in.
Yeah. So speaking of the Aaron Rodgers era, do you think that continues on past this season? And I'm not talking about like trade stuff because I don't believe that's even a possibility. Whatever, but like retirement wise, because he seems like he's content in his life, like to do whatever. Like, not that he doesn't want to play football, but like if he decided that, then he would just be good with it. If he made, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
he's not there yet.
No, I agree. I understand what you're saying. I don't think whenever that day comes for Rodgers, I don't think it's going to be a Favre type situation. I think he's going to make the call, and then that's going to be it. He'll be on to the next phase of his life. But
I think that's one thing. One of the other things he learned from Favre. Don't do that. Don't retire for it. I'm going to retire one time.
No, but I would be surprised if he's not back next year. I mean, I know everything with the cap wise. I know everything with that. It just makes so much sense. And I still think, the other thing you got to remember is, for as difficult as this year was, wherever Green Bay ends up, I mean, the matchups based in the divisions will be different. You would think the schedule would be a little bit easier. Maybe there's some matchups there that are more favorable than this season. Certainly are not going to London again. So I think Green Bay would welcome that. He's going to make the best decision for himself, but there's a part of me that really wants to see him get to 40 and to do that in Green Bay. And then, with Jordan Love, I mean, you can pick up the 50-year option just fine and then make the call in 24 on what you want to do. The one thing I've learned, Matt, the last 2 years, there was a time when I was at the Press Gazette where I was always like, oh my goodness, you gotta manage your cap. You got to be so careful with your cap. And then these void years and all these things that teams are doing now, the cap is a lot more malleable. It's a lot more, you can do a lot more gymnastics with it than I ever thought. Now, you still got to be cognizant of where you are, but I'm not too concerned in that regard on where Green Bay is gonna shuffle out. I think Rodgers can easily take another stab at this thing, and you can keep Love in the fold and see where it takes you.
Yeah, I know the cap situation is messed up. When I played Madden, I simulated the first season, and then I went to the off season, and I was like, "Oh, I hope they're better at this than I am." I just quit. I was like, "I'm not doing it." And I think cut everybody.
We're going into Matt Ramage is sending the Packers into rebuilding mode.
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh, I have to cut some people
We're
for
gonna
about 4 years.
we're- I played with it, and the only person I can afford is Danny Etling as my quarterback. We're just gonna have to just venture into these unknown lands here.
Yeah, true fans will stick around, right? All
No, but I
right.
mean the Packers are a lot better at it, and certainly contract extensions and renegotiations, all that stuff can happen too. But I think no matter how it works out, it can work out. Now again, we'll see what the offseason holds. I'm no expert in that regard. There's certainly things that happen. I thought Devontae Adams was going to be on this team at the end of last year, going into
Yeah.
going into 22. Things always change and will surprise you, but I think the situation for Green Bay is a lot more manageable than what some have said.
Yeah, I'll let the smart people figure that stuff out. But I appreciate you taking the time with me. All right, everyone, make sure to check out Wes on Instagram, Twitter at Wes Hod, and you won't regret it.
Dude,
what
you're so much better at the Instagram thing than me. I'm trying, dude. I am trying.
Dude,
but
you should. You work
it's a
right
labor
there.
of
You
labor.
could you got the background and everything back there. You could just go up there and just make a video. Be like Ian Rappaport. He's going to like Nas concerts, drinking Hennessy. Have you
That's
seen
what
that?
he's doing?
Well, it's on Twitter. His wife posted a picture of him with a bottle of Hennessy, and then someone told that he was on ESPN or wherever. I saw the clip answering questions about it, and he was like, "Well, I was at a Nas concert. It was like after the Super Bowl or something. I think Jay-Z was there. It was like this thing. It's like I would never expect that from Ian."
You got to be careful with that music, though, because some of that stuff in the music now they can come and get you for that. So
yeah,
maybe I'll be at like I was gonna say maybe I'll be at a public library or something, or just pick like really mundane areas to do videos from.
Or make a video like shotgunning a beer and like crushing a can in your head. Like at Lambeau Field.
Is that what people want to see?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is that what this business has turned into?
I think that's just what I'd like to see.
So here's the injury report on Friday. Quay Walker is going to be questionable for Sunday.
Yeah. Dude,
all right, see you on Sunday, folks.
That's awesome. That is what you should do. No,
I'm going to do that with the juice box, Matt. That's what I'm going to do that with.
Yeah, I'll teach you the ways. I don't do that. One time, I was trying to be awesome. One time, I chugged a beer and I went to go, smash it on my head. But I didn't realize that you're supposed to squeeze the can first. You do that?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's why it breaks. I didn't do that, and I almost knocked myself out. I was just smashed a beer can into my forehead. Big old knot in my head. But yeah, it didn't end well.
I've never actually had a domestic beer in my life.
Really?
Never drank one.
Oh.
No.
You a fancy beer drinker guy?
No, I'm just really a no beer drinker guy.
Oh,
but I've never had anything. My dad's a Pabst man, but I'm not. I don't. I drink Lipton's.
There you go. That's all you need.
You're good.
What more do you need in life? Yeah, as long as you're hydrated, whether it's beer or if it's some Lipton's, you're good to go. I appreciate you taking the time, my man.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Music.